Let me ask you something real quick, and I need you to think before you answer. When was the last time you were under pressure? Like real pressure, deadline pressure, weight room pressure, life is coming at you type pressure. Now, did you run from it? Did you put your track shoes on and ran from it or ran towards it? Because what most people do, they spend their whole life trying to get comfortable. And to be honest, that's a place where you don't want to be because that's where we think where success is. But actually, it's when we're uncomfortable. That's when we reach success. So today we're going to talk about that today, why pressure is a privilege. All right, check it out. So you already know who it is. You have my channel, it's Alchemy Fitness, aka Trusted Fitness, where we transfer from lead to gold. So I want to talk about pressure and the benefits of it. Either you're gonna make diamonds or you're gonna bust pipes. And this is the only way that you're gonna know who you really are. All right. So we want to start with what pressure actually does biologically. Because we don't want to limit it just for motivational talk. It's a good starter or spark, but obviously that discipline keeps it going. All right. But anyway, when your body's under physical stress, like when going through your last set, when your legs are burning or your lungs are burning, pardon me, your body release cortisone and adrenaline. Most people think that it's bad, but in this instance, it's good because you want to put stress on your body. That's how you grow with that type of pressure. That's it's an acute kind of stress, like that short burst of pressure that actually sharpens your focus. You know what I mean? And it forces your body to adapt. That's why you need to lift heavy weights, relatively safely, of course. But that's how your muscles grow. That's how it's built. It's applied under pressure. If the muscle breaks down and it comes back even stronger. That's where you hear like a lot of trainers talk about time under tension and stuff like that. These are another ways to manipulate the weight, the external forces to stimulate a kind of pressure and to force a certain kind of muscle development and growth. All right. So think about it like that. But when you think about it, it's the same. The way how your body works is the same way how your mind works as well. Whether it's in your career, your relationships, any area in your life that you have ever grown, I promise you, it's because of pressure. You know what I mean? Like I stated earlier, it's like diamonds, carbon under extreme pressure of millions of years. That's not a coincidence. That's a blueprint. And I'm a firm believer of studying nature. And as it said, that study the ant. You know what I mean? Really, that's nature. Anything that grows, there has to be some type of pressure that's there from a seed planted. It's firmly rooted. It sprouts its roots downward and then it shoots back up. And that's not easy because remember, it's going through the soil. And the soil is not something that's soft. You really have to push your way through even to get firmly rooted. All right. So we're going to change our mindset on how we look at pressure. And really, it's going to make or break you. All right. As Allah said in the Holy Quran, that struggle is ordained. And this is what really um, makes us better. You know what I mean? So always think about it like that. And once we understand that, we wouldn't be afraid we wouldn't be so afraid of pressure because we know that's gonna make us better, you know? All right. So we get a little personal with you guys. It's not because, I think you guys need to hear this like from some motivational poster or speaker or anything like that. But I've been in it as well. Dude, there's been seasons where like everything was pressing on me at once. God knows I'm going to do it as we speak. I mean, like everything. But sometimes you think like as you're going through these cycles in your life, you're asking yourself, yo, when is this going to let up? When do I get a break? You know what I'm saying? Like I was praying for the pressure to stop, like literally, you know what I mean? Then I was in the gym mid set, absolutely exhausted. And then something clicked. I thought every single time I've grown as a person, every time I leveled up, there was a pressure involved every single time. And I realized I wasn't being crushed, I was being shaped. And that's the mentality that you have to take on. It's shaping you, it's molding you, it's making you stronger. You know what I mean? I like it as like in a way, it's a healing process, so it's not really the same with that. So I won't even use that example. But you get the drift where I'm going. You know what I mean? I don't know if you heard Billie Jean King, one of the greatest tennis players of all time. He was like, pressure is a privilege. It only comes to those who earn it. So I'm gonna say that again. Pressure is a privilege, and Sebum says that too. If you know one of the great bodybuilders of this present day, Sebum, 6-time Olympia champion in classic. I think his brand is that he has that on some of his apparel. But pressure is a privilege. It only comes to those who earn it, right? So you got to earn that if you want to be great. So if you're feeling pressure right now in your workouts in your life, that's not punishment. That is proof that you're in the game. That matters. And then when you step into that arena that everyone has the guts to enter, the people that who have zero pressure in their lives, they're also the ones that have zero progress. Everybody wants the easy life. But you don't get it through through doing nothing without challenging yourself. You know. So I don't know about you guys. I rather the pressure because I'm being shaped to be a better person, a better someone, and you can too. You know what I mean? So with anything, of course, we just don't want to be heroes of the words. We want to do it. We want practical application, right? Because inspiration without action is just entertainment. We're not here to give you entertainment, but more so edutainment. You know what I mean? So food for thought. All right. So we're here to grow and get better. That's what it's all about. All right. So number one, you got to rename pressure, right? Language matters more than you think. That's what they call it, spelling, right? So when you feel stress coming on, instead of saying I'm overwhelmed, we're gonna say I'm being challenged. And who doesn't like a good challenge, right? That's not a fake positivity. That's really a neurological reset. Studies actually show that on cognitive reappraisal, that if you label a feeling changes how your brain processes it. So if you go from a threat response to a challenge response, two different modes. One shuts you down, the others open you up. And I always tell clients this too when we're training, because sometimes with their body mechanics they look real tight. I said you don't receive any blessings being closed up. You got to open up. So once we have that mindset switch, that's when we got to start to blossom and see the fruits of our labor. All right. So number two, I can't say this enough. Can't stress this enough. Use the gym as a lab. That's another term that people use too. Oh, I'm going to the lab. You know what I mean? Or some people say I'm going to church. This is my sanctuary or my cycle, whatever. But we're gonna say it's a lab. All right. So it's one of the places in your life that you volunteer signing up for discomfort, and you reward yourself by making it through. I've been through workouts, so I'm like, yo, I'm about to quit this shit. I'm like, this is too much. But then I'm thinking, I'm like, the more I move away from this challenge, I'm gonna deteriorate something in my character. And the gym helps building character. And I think that's an intangible thing that most people miss out. And shout out, and this is no um shot at those who go get surgery or whatever have you, like teach his own. I think it's always the last option, whether if you're taking Ozempic or GLP-1 or you go to Dr. Miami. There's a aspect of that step or that journey that you miss, and that's character development. And I can't stress that enough. Because during this journey, you're going to learn more about yourself than anything else. All right. But back to the training, it really trains your nervous system. So every time you finish a hard set, every time you show up when you didn't want to, you build a tolerance for pressure. And that carries on to everything in your life. Like I said, everything is transferable. These are like transferable principles. That's why everybody talk about go to the gym, because it just doesn't build your body, it also builds your mind. All right. Number three, you stop waiting for the weight to lift. This is big. A lot of us are operating in a holding pattern. I'll start when things calm down. I'll be consistent when life get easier. That day never comes. Trust me. The weight is life. You know what I'm saying? The pressure is the game and about winning. You know, they stop waiting and start moving with the weight on their back. You don't need less pressure. You just need more capacity, really and truthfully. And there's only one way to build capacity, and that's to stay in it. Sometimes the safest place to be in a storm is in the middle of the storm, the eye of the storm. So anytime we have obstacles in our life, get to the middle of it, get to the eye of the storm. You know what I'm saying? it reminds, you seen The Last Dance? You think I'm a big Michael Jordan fan? But at the end, man, when he was talking about, like, you may say that I'm a tyrant, but that's because you didn't want, you never won anything. If you want to be a winner, you have to be uncomfortable. You have to make other people uncomfortable too, as well. But in a positive sense, of course, because you want to be better. And that's applying the pressure. That's what he was doing with his teammates. He was making them better. And Kenny Smith talks about that too in the Pivot podcast. You know, that's one of the reasons why he's like, yo, I wanted to play with Mike when I got into the league, because I'm from that kind of cloth. Like, he's going to bring it up out of you. And you can only find out what's inside of you through trials and tribulation, through pressure, which is a privilege. All right. So check this out. Here's a challenge for the week, of course. You know what I mean? We're going to call it the privilege flip. You want to identify one area of your life where you've been treating pressure like a problem. It could be anything from pressure, could be work, a relationship, you know what I mean? Something you're trying to get away with instead of grow through. I have a hoodie that actually says that. What you go through is what you go through is what you grow through. You know what I'm saying? So keep that in mind. And just for this week, look at it differently. Just think about it differently. And instead of asking yourself, when does it end? Ask is, what is this building in me? That one question will change everything and change your outlook on life. And like I said, it just doesn't help your mentality neurologically as well. All right. And then I want you to comment down and tell me, put it in the comments, what pressures in your life right now that you're committed to treat as a privilege. And I do actually read you guys comment, and I appreciate the engagement, because as time goes on and this channel grows, it's going to be formed into a community where like-minded individuals come together and push themselves to become supreme beings in their own area and expertise, in all aspects of their lives. All right. So that's the plan here with this channel. All right. And you never know, too, who is going through something, and you may inspire them with your story as well. So don't be afraid to put your story in the comments. And for those who are commenting, also be respectful of others in this space as well. All right, because we're just not here to build bodies. We want to build people minds, strong-minded individuals to take on life challenges and to take over the world, basically, in a positive way. All right. So keep that in mind. All right. And so whatever y'all going through, keep going through it. Because remember, pressure is a privilege, and we need every bit of it. All right. So till next time, this is Alchemy Fitness signing off, where we transfer from lead to gold. Train hard, train smart, and train safe. Peace.